What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So, we're going to be doing how to play Khora Prime today. As, you know, Khora Prime came out like a couple days ago, and I haven't made a how to play Khora guide like ever. So we're going to do like a quick run over how to do all her abilities, and we're going to show multiple builds. And, you know, what the differences between normal Khora and Khora Prime are, things like that. So, if you are looking for a Khora guide, you came to the right place. But before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to the channel and all that. Make sure you hit the live stream channel as well because, yeah, we live stream quite a bit here, and it's lots of Warframe too. Okay, so let's get in here. We're going to go over all of her abilities, but before we get into the abilities, let's go over what the stat differences are between Khora and Khora Prime. Khora Prime is going to be easier to farm for most people as her parts come from Void Relics instead of Sanctuary Onslaught. Alright, so these are the upgrades to Khora Prime, and one of them is kind of not even an upgrade really in the current meta of the game, but we'll go over that too. So, Khora Prime's going to get an additional 50 armor, 25 energy, and 25 shield. Now, that 25 shield is actually a downside for very specific setups. Specifically, a Whipclaw build based around her 1, because the lower your shields are in this game, the easier you can get your shield getting back. And since she's got increased shields, 94 shields is near impossible to get your entire shield gate back from using her Whipclaw because of how the energy cost goes. But let's just start going over these abilities. That's a very niche thing, and we're going to be showing a no mods Khora set up here to showcase her abilities. Just so you know exactly what's going on here. No goofy like helmet abilities or anything like that. Additionally, Venari Prime. Khora's passive ability is this cat that can do some stuff for you. The Prime version of this cat has more damage, armor, and health than the non-Prime version of this cat on normal Khora. So big upgrades in that department as well. Alright, so let's start going over these abilities. Like I said, the passive is going to be Venari. This cat will do some stuff for you. Your third ability will let you rotate between different abilities for the cat. So we've got a healing ability where I can target myself or target someone else, and the cat will activate a healing aura for you, which will scale with power strength. I can also switch it to attack mode, where I can target it to attack specific enemies. So we're going to pause these enemies, and I'll show you what that is. Also, the AI for this cat is not the best. It does not, like, jump around. It will only teleport to you when you get far enough away. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Also, targeting an enemy with that ability, the attack ability, will make it teleport over and attack the enemy. So there you go. As I said, it's glitchy, but also it can use special abilities and be modded for virals. So this cat can deal with some high-level enemies relatively easily if you know what you're doing. So yeah, let's finish the abilities for the cat while we're in here. The protect ability is going to make it where it will you can target an enemy, it will disarm the enemy and make them drop their gun. I don't think it works on these guys, but if we were to like disarm like a bombard or something like that, they will drop their rocket launcher and pick up like a sheave. So that can be pretty good against specific types of enemies. Like I said, it doesn't work on everything. So I think it should work on this bombard that'll take away their gun. It used to work on acolytes, but I believe they patched that out as well. So we're going to target him with the protect ability. Venari teleports over, and then there you go. His rocket launcher has been dropped. He's got a rusty piece of metal now, and he can't even fight back really. Basically, just complete sitting duck. So that's her passive. That cat can do some good stuff. Also, that cat can deal some good damage too, which is really nice. So let's go over her first ability. Now we've gone over her passive, which is also kind of her third ability at the same time. And her first ability is going to be the one that most people know her for, or one of the abilities people know her most for, Whipclaw. So you press the ability, you whip, and there's certain stats that are going to influence what that whip does. Actually, lots of stats are going to influence what that whip does. So I'm going to go over here, and I have a melee weapon equipped called the Amphis. And since this ability likes stat sticks, I'm going to use the Amphis to make this weapon do more damage, or this ability do more damage, rather. So that's what it looks like with no mods on the actual frame. So things that influence how much damage this ability does. There's actually a lot. So first off, the range of the explosion on this radius of on the Whipclaw scales us with range, but not too much. It actually caps out at 200% increased range. So her other abilities, you can go over 200 range, but for this one, you only really need 200 range. Also, the cast range of it is increased by range, as well as the power strength of your frame is going to influence how much damage this does. And like I told you earlier, this weapon, or this ability, does scale with stat sticks. So I'm going to link my stat stick video from like 2 years ago. It's pretty much still up to date. But the big thing here is that the weapon you use doesn't matter as much as you would think. The main thing that matters here is that we want good mods, because the mods will be transferred over to the actual ability on this frame. So for Khora, you want to go really big into the crit, and we actually have a slash build here, so we go on for status chance as well. And then as far as a Riven mods do work on Khora's Whipclaw. So like I said, you want to go big into crit, and you want to go big into melee damage. Condition Overload does not work on Khora's Whipclaw, so just getting big overall melee damage numbers helps you get big numbers easily, as there's not as many things to multiply your damage here. Additionally, Bane mods don't work either, and quite a few other things don't work, like attack speed and then plus range mods. That doesn't work on the actual weapon. So for anti-Grineers is what I usually go for. If you don't have a Riven, there's plenty of things you can put there. Like Spoiled Strike could be okay, some combo duration, really up to you. Then we're going to move on to the Corpus build, as Corpus are pretty much cheesed by Toxin. We're running Prime Fever Strike to bypass their shields and one-shot them. You can still do a Radiation build for Corpus as well, if you prefer that. I would not really recommend a Slash build for Corpus. And then for Infested, now this Infested build actually is versatile to be used against Grineer as well, and Acolytes. Because Corrosive is good against Infested, Corrosive is also good against Grineer and Acolytes too. So you can use this Corrosive Infested one against nearly every faction, and even against the Corpus you could technically use it. Just wouldn't really openly recommend it. Okay, so that's her first ability. I'll actually show some gameplay right here of like what you can expect when you stack this ability up. So this is with a Riven, but the Riven is not giving us red crits. We're getting red crits from just the mods on the weapon. So this is kind of like what people know Khora for. Her fourth ability puts up a Strangledome that can like stun enemies and like stick them to the wall, and when you whip enemies stuck in your Strangledome fourth ability, it transfers the damage to all the enemies in the dome and just lets you AoE kill everything with red crit slash procs. So that's pretty much what you can expect. But let's just keep going over the abilities here. So one of the other really good abilities she has, basically every ability for her is good, is going to be her second ability, Ensnare. So the way that this one works is you are going to target an enemy, press the button, and then that enemy will become stunned. Shortly after, enemies nearby will become stunned and pulled to where that enemy is, making it very easy for you to like hit them with AoE guns because they're all in one spot. Very, very simple. Also lets it be very easy to whip those enemies with your Whipclaw that you might have stacked up already. So very good there, and the amount of types of enemies this works on is actually kind of staggering. For example, this Ensnare stun ability works on Acolytes, works on Demolists, works on some bosses still. Doesn't work on Eidolons, but I think that would actually probably be a bad thing. If it worked on Eidolons. But it works on pretty much everything in the game, and it is one of the best abilities in the game. And it's also a Helminth ability, so if you sacrifice a Khora to the Helminth chair, you can put this Ensnare grouping skill on other frames as well. It's really, really good, and is one of the best abilities for Helminth, and just in general for a reason. So, yeah, things that are going to make that skill better are range and duration. Strength has zero effect on the Ensnare ability. Alright, we briefly went over the three, but just basically switching your cat between the different modes. Also technically resummoning the cat if it dies. And then let's move on to the fourth ability, Strangledome. So what this one does, you place down this big old dome, and enemies get trapped inside of it. They're actually going to shoot their allies, because I don't know why, they just do it. And yeah, it deals damage per second, which can kill enemies, and also synergy with your one, where whipping enemies in the Strangledome transfers damage to enemies in the Strangledome to other enemies. So very, very good there. So now that we've gone over the abilities briefly, let's just show it in practice with an actual build. Now, usually, a lot of people will replace the 3 Venari. Another nice little thing it can do as well is while you have this ability active, or just while it's going, it makes you run faster too. So the more power strength you have, the more speed multiplier you get, and the better your heals are. Strength actually scales this ability pretty well, but most people helmet it off. So for example, my go-to build on Khora that I've been using for multiple years is this. Now I have actually put a new arcane on here called Molt Reconstruct, which will heal myself and allies within XP range for a bunch every time I whip. So really good there, as we're running Spectro Siphon and Spectro Rage, the Helminth ability from Gara. Enemies that die inside this ability I cast, which you're usually going to be stunned in my Strangledome already, will drop energy orbs 50% of the time. When I use this Spectro Siphon Augment mod. So I'm using this to give myself and my teammates infinite energy, and I'm using this new Arcane Molt Reconstruct to give my cats and myself and my teammates infinite health. So the cats have a mind of their own. Sometimes we'll go off and like run and try to fight enemies that they shouldn't be fighting. I'm going to be healing them by like 160 every time I whip, which I'm whipping constantly. So if the cat dies, it's because they were really, really far away, like outside affinity range, and I just couldn't find them in time to heal them. So yeah, but here's the thing. This is, you might be like, well, I don't want to run a stat stick. This is a lot of work just to get this. I mean, it's a crazy effect, but I want to just run the weapons I want to run. And you know what? I've been kind of feeling that too lately. So I actually have some no Whipclaw Khora builds we'll be going over in a little bit here too. I just want to make sure I got like the one that most people use out before we went into like the weirder ones that I've been scheming up the last couple of days. Because I actually put together a hilarious Khora build that kind of put the Naros to shame, if you ask me. But yeah, for this build that you're seeing on the screen right now, what you're going to want to prioritize as far as like stats is you want to go for some range. Like I said, her 1 actually caps at 200% range, but we're going above 200% range because we're using Strangledome to grab enemies through the wall and stun them through the wall. So 235% range. Now, power strength does not matter for her 1, really, because we're using this mod called Accumulating Whipclaw, which will, every time we hit 3 enemies, we get an increased to damage, and it stacks up to 10 times. I believe it stacks up to 10 times. This damage offsets all the negative power strength we have and lets us completely spec into range and other quality of life stats. So, for example, Prime Flow gives us a ton of energy. Prime Continuity makes it so we don't have to cast the abilities as much. And then these ones are grabbing enemies from farther away with our Strangledome. We've also got Pilfering Strangledome. Enemies that die in the Strangledome have an increased chance to drop loot. This is not skill with strength either. So we are actually able to get away with a lot of things not having increased strength here. And we're still dealing multi-million damage with our Whipclaw. Like I said earlier, Condition Overload does not work on Khora's Whipclaw, so we're actually using Prime or Arcane Fury, giving us 180% increased melee damage. Now, if you don't want to run Molt Reconstruct, if you think you are going to have an energy issue for some reason, you could just run Energize, which I was running here before. But with Spectro Siphon, if you're getting enough kills, you don't need Energize like at all. I'm pretty much always constantly full energy with Khora using this build. So that's something you could try. Let's move on to also if you don't want to put Helminth on Khora, you could just take off Spectro Siphon, maybe put like a Streamline there, because yeah, you really don't need strength unless you really care about the movement speed buff of Khora's 3. You don't need power strength on her for the most part, but we'll have some power strength builds. So let's get into those right now, actually. So I was talking about how power strength can make you move very fast. Well, that's actually the focus of this build right here. Now, I wouldn't really recommend that you run this, but it sure is funny. We're using the Helminth ability, Infested Mobility, to give us increased movement speed, and we've also got a ton of power strength, so Venari's built-in speed multiplier is going to make us super, super speed. So I'm just going to show you in the simulacrum how fast you can go without any real buffing, and then we're going to show you on Fortuna how far you can jump. So like, as you're going to see, I'm not even casting the abilities. With this much power strength at the baseline, you are moving very fast as Khora, just with Venari. I cast Infested Mobility for 200% more, and there you go. This is Khora. This is Khora moving this fast. And now we jump on to Fortuna, and I've got a Volt and a Wisp in my squad, and you can jump out of the base in one jump. So basically the focus of this is all power strength. Everything power strength, just to make you move really, really fast. And that's something you can do. It is really funny. And that's actually going to be the focus of this second build, or the third build actually we're showing you. It's going to be like, it's just pretty much like lazy mode. Move over a Naros. There's a new lazy frame in town. So since Khora has some built-in healing with her third ability, I've actually gone and subsumed off her 1 because it's just too much work to get that buff sometimes. And this is pretty much replacement of Naros. We've got a augment for Venari, her third ability. Venari Bodyguard. When you die, instead your cat will die instead, and then it respawns 150 seconds later. Getting a kill will remove 4 seconds off that timer. So you can basically just be immortal as long as you get like however many kills that is. By the time you die again, yeah, there you go. Now let's just show it in the simulacrum. We have Arcane Grace to give us health regen. We've got Arcane Guardian for increased armor, and we've got Triple Umbra with adaptation, and even Eclipse for even more damage reduction if we're in the dark. So yeah, you can pretty much face tank the entire wave with this. Let's not even show it in the simulacrum. Let's just show it in game because I was actually pretty surprised how this was working out. And as you can see, you have a lot more flexibility with what kind of builds and weapons you rock here. A standard stat stick build is not really great for killing enemies, but it's good for like increasing the damage of your Whipclaw. So if you just want to use a normal build, like I'm using my Innodem right here, like a range mod, attack speed mod, stuff like that, this is pretty good. And you can face tank Steel Path relatively easily. Just target yourself with the healing ability from Venari, and just walk around and face tank, like activate Eclipse. both modes of Eclipse are useful to us here, where we're either getting a bunch of extra damage reduction or we're getting a ton of extra damage. And those are both really good for us, letting us use our AoE guns to kill enemies faster, let us, get shot in the face and proc Arcane Grace. It's actually surprisingly good, and I'm probably going to be rocking this a lot more going forward, just with how lazy you can be. Also, Khora Prime looks cool, so there's that too. But yeah, most people would just be like, yeah, just run like the camping farming build, which is, it's stood the test of time. It's been nerfed a couple times, but it's still top tier. So yeah, another nice thing about this is that if you place on your Strangledome with no range really, enemies just walk in, they're just sitting ducks for you to melee them with a normal weapon, like the Inodem or the Cronin Prime or whatever you got, or even a Kuva Brahma. Like, utilizing the Kuva Brahma for this type of stuff is actually going to focus on the final build we show you, which is going to be basically Whipclaw AoE. Line of sight is pretty bad now. Let's just rock AoE instead. And that is definitely something you can do. Very similar to the build you're seeing on screen right now. You could just rock AoE rocket launchers or Kuva Brahmas instead of Khora's Whipclaw. Doesn't require any buildup of combo, and it will always go through walls, unlike Khora's Whipclaw, which sometimes has wonky hit detection through walls. So let's just show that off before we finish it up here. I know it's been a little bit long. I also do want to quickly show my fashion frame in case anyone wants to see that. So this is the hybrid Khora build. Now, nice thing about running AoE weapons instead of Whipclaw is we can actually save a mod spot on not having to running accumulating Whipclaw. So we still got Pilfering Strangledome. We still do want enemies to walk into our Strangledome, but it's all about AoE rocket launchers here, with energized munitions giving us an endless magazine. Now, one of the better weapons for using with energized munitions is actually the Kuva Tonkor, and I'm going to showcase that real quick. So the Kuva Tonkor usually has like 1 in the magazine. I've modded it for 2 in the magazine here, and what energized munitions does is it turns your 2 magazine into like an 8 magazine. So that's what it's normally like. I use energized munitions, and I can just spam it. Now, I do have Arcane Acceleration on here. You do definitely want Arcane Acceleration if you're rocking this, because it just lets you spam grenades like crazy. So that is going to be really nice. Not to mention where you can go with an Umbra tank build, which does hold up for like about 30 minutes in the steel path. Now, one of the problems Khora did get is that Eximus now just walk right into her Strangledome, so you might want to be careful about that. But I haven't had too many problems with it when I'm using, like, honestly, either the camping build or the lazy Venari build. I have not had any problems with Eximus. Speaking of Venari, I didn't really show a Venari build. This is what I usually rock on Venari. Now Venari does have shield gating, so an unranked Link shield is actually better than the maxed out Link shields, because Venari can get the full shield gate back quicker, just regenerating 9 shield points. Venari does not normally have a shield, so if you don't run Link shields, you have no shields there. So as far as mods here, you might be surprised I'm not running Bite, which gives increased crit chance and crit damage. One of the main abilities that Venari uses does not crit, so that's why I didn't go with it here. Also, I've got Viral here to give increased damage for the slash procs. Venari has lots of slash procs, and it's pretty good. Sharpened Claws will remove enemy armor and deal more damage, and then Link Health and Link Shield just to get more tanky. We have 1400 armor on this build, 83% damage reduction on the health, and then 3200 health on the Umbra build. Tech Assault giving a 60% chance not to die all the time, pretty much. This procs a lot more than you'd think. 60% of the time, works every time. And as far as keeping your combo going, if you are running a stat stick build on Khora, combo duration is going to be pretty helpful. So if you have the secondary and primary dexterity mods, maybe give that a shot, giving you 7.5 seconds extra combo duration per maxed out one equipped. You can have 2 of those equipped, so it's going to be 20-second duration on the combo. And then if you don't want to run that, or even if you do, if you just want to be never losing your combo, you can go Naramon Focus School. Power Spike will make it where every 5 seconds you lose a little bit of combo instead of all of it all at once. And then I think there might be a couple other buffs in here if you bother even using Void Levitation. There you go. So yeah, stuff like that. Opening slam, blah, blah, blah. Double combo gain, there you go. Performing a slam as operator switches to WARFRAME and grants double combo. You can do that to get your combo built up, because that's how it's actually going to work. If you want to get your Whipclaw red critting like you saw in the video right there, what you want to do is you want to actually build up the combo on your melee. So look at right now, it has 0. If I whip right now, we don't have the whip. If I whip right now, it would have been yellow crit. But we want to build up combo with our melee, then whip. So build it all up. As you can see the bottom right corner down there, we got 4x multiplier. Goes up to 12. And once it's at 12, your blood rush, your weeping wounds are fully stacked up, and you are kicking some ass. So, yeah. That's really basically it for the video, guys. I do highly recommend all the things I showed here. And if you want to run Arc Energize over Molt Reconstruct, or whatever it's called, Be My Guest. I just thought it was really nice and good. And yeah, this is pretty much how you play Khora in 2022. We're going to quickly show out the fashion frame and call it a vid. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. I have been playing Khora for a long time, a long time. And yeah, she's feeling pretty good nowadays after they, you know, kind of reverted a little bit of the line of sight check on her one. It's still there, but it's not as bad as before. So yeah, I'm still digging her. I think the Khora Prime looks really cool. You know, the weapons are, you know, pretty standard, nothing too exciting there, but you know, it's good stuff. And as far as attachments, we got this is a lot of Prime stuff, so you might not have this. This is a Garuda Prime armor right here, the new level 5 ephemera from Zeramon. I like this one too, the Seraphire. That one looks pretty cool. And then as far as other fashion frame stuff, we got another Prime Cyandana. This comes from Banshee Prime Access, which I just got in a giveaway. And then sigils. I've got this new sigil I need to level up still. I believe it. You can get 2 additional looks if you do so with the operator. I haven't even bothered. And then the back sigil is just my parent sequence to get my rep. So, all right, guys, I'll see you next time. I will link that Khora stat stick video from 2020 down below. It might not be 100% accurate, but for the most part, it is still accurate. You can just use like the Broken War from the story mode, comes with the Catalyst already installed, and just run like the same kinds of mods: Weeping Wounds, Blood Rush, and then your elements of choice. Faction mods don't matter, and Prime Pressure Point over Condition Overload, because Condition Overload does not work. All right, guys, see you next time. Peace.